Hey, I am looking over a question here written by Genesis7, and it's called Kinky and Lonely. Oh, here's how it reads. I have a question about my sexuality and how I can find the right partners to satisfy me. I'm a 20-something girl who just got out of a serious relationship. At first, the reason I had to break up with a boyfriend was because I thought our sexual chemistry wasn't there. Our sex life wasn't bad, I just got bored really easily. This was odd for me because I'm a very sexual person and I fantasize a lot about all sorts of deviant scenes. So, when we were having just sex, it just never was as hot or as exciting as the fantasies I had when I was masturbating. I thought this was just a problem that happened in this relationship. But then I started dating other guys and I was having vanilla sex with them too, and I got bored. Eventually, I realized I just wasn't into normal vanilla sex. I like having a good fuck every now and then, but if I'm going to plan for a night of good sex, I would mostly want to play out my fantasies to lead to it rather than just having sex all by lonesome. Now, I have a few different fetishes that I've never done before. For example, I'm really into tickling and bondage. I also like role-playing and having random sex acts either in public or someplace where I might get caught. How do I let my partners know how I feel about my fantasies, and when is a good time to tell them? Whew, you do have kind of a dilemma. For one thing, I think it's weird that you're a girl and you have these fantasies, because normally this is a guy problem. Not saying that girls can't have this going on, but I think it's kind of cool to see a woman standing up and saying, hey, I want to have unique sex, so pay up there, buddy. But anyway, that's beside the point. Addressing your question specifically, you're probably going to have to go through a bit of vanilla sex before you can get to your fantasy. You don't want to just jump out and say, hey, I want to do bondage, because if the person's not into bondage, then they're automatically going to go shh and make you run for cover. So instead of doing that, you might just want to go about sex normally once or twice. Try to get as much out of it as you can, and then if you can't, go home and fix stuff yourself with your little fantasies. But after a while, I would probably ask your partner what their fantasies are. Say that you're willing to explore, that you're totally open-minded, and see what they say. If they happen to have the same fantasies as you, then, great, you're on the same page. Or if they suggest something that's equally as unique, obscure, kind of random, then at least you won't feel alone in the fact that you've got unique, obscure, sort of random fantasies as well. If you could both kind of bond over the fact that you have these fetishes, then eventually you could have some really good sex together because you're both willing to experiment. If you're in a relationship where the guy says, I don't have any fetishes, I don't have any fantasies, I just like sex, you're probably going to want to back up pretty quickly, because chances are that person's not going to be open to doing what it is you want to do. If, however, the person says that they're open-minded, that they're willing to experiment, start with something simple so that way you both can get into the swing of things, and go into the more elaborate. Don't just jump in there with whips and chains and nipple clamps and anything else. You've got to start kind of slowly, but eventually you can build yourself up into some really amazing sex if you find the right partner. And if things go well, then it could end up into a great sexual relationship for the rest of your life. So, have fun. I wish you all the best.